Some moments in nature do not need sound to shake you to the core. They do not need screams, music, or explanations. Sometimes a glance is enough, sometimes a single step, and sometimes a silent decision not to interfere, or conversely, to kneel down and wait. This story is about life and death, about a predator and a mother, about instinct fighting compassion, and about how even in the most brutal place on Earth, a quiet, almost imperceptible miracle can be born. The African savannah slowly burned under the merciless sun. The air shimmered above the cracked earth, and the yellow grass rustled like dry paper. Every breath was heavy. On this day, even the wind decided not to interfere, as if it understood that it had no role to play. The herd of elephants moved slowly and steadily. Their footsteps raised thick clouds of dust, and their massive bodies cast long shadows, as if time itself were stretching out behind them. It was a path familiar to every adult elephant, a path of survival, traveled dozens of times. Dust clung to their wrinkled skin, shimmering in the light, and the occasional shrill cry of a distant bird reminded the herd that life continued, indifferent to their struggles. Among them walked Ellie. She was only 3 months old. She was born in the rainy season, when the earth smelled of moisture, the grass was soft, and the rivers overflowed their banks. Back then, the world seemed warm and safe. Ellie knew only her mother's side, the rhythm of her steps, the sound of her breathing, and the feeling of her trunk gently wrapping around her when she got scared. Her first memories were splashing through mud puddles, the cool water slipping over her tiny legs, and the gentle nudges of her mother guiding her through tall reeds and shallow streams. But now, there was no rain. Now, it was the dry season, and the world had changed. It was harsh, dusty, and indifferent. The rivers had shrunk to narrow trickles. The once soft grass had become brittle, crunching under every step. Even the sun seemed sharper, more unyielding, as if testing the resilience of every creature under its gaze. When the herd stopped at the dry riverbed, Ellie got carried away. The remnants of mud, the damp patches of clay, the coolness of the earth, it was all too tempting. She splashed around, fiddled with things, and tested the surface with her trunk, as if discovering a new world. She didn't understand that every extra minute meant distance. Each distracted moment pulled her further away from the herd's protective presence. Each playful turn, a step into danger. When Ellie looked up, the herd was already leaving. At first, the silence seemed normal. Then it seemed strange, and then it seemed frightening. No cries, no footsteps, no birds, no insects, only still air, and the feeling that something had gone wrong. Ellie was alone. In the tall, burnt grass, just a few dozen meters away, lay a lion. His body was thin, his ribs showing through his fur, and one paw was unnaturally bent. He hadn't eaten properly in a long time. His injury had slowed him down, but it hadn't taken away the most important thing, his patience. Every sinew in his lean body was taut with anticipation, every muscle coiled like a spring. He waited, and today the savannah brought him a chance. The lion did not rush immediately. He rose slowly. Every step was painful. It was not a hunt of strength. It was a hunt of desperation. Every now and then he paused, nostrils flaring, ears swiveling, listening to the subtle vibrations in the earth, the slightest rustle of grass, the faint scent of fear. They were his guides. Ellie ran as soon as she saw him, but the clay, which a minute ago had seemed like a game, became a trap. She slipped. She screamed, and in the next moment, the weight pinned her to the ground. The dust rose around them in a choking cloud, blurring the edges of the world, making every sound distant and muffled. The lion did not grab her throat. He could not risk it. He pulled, slowly, persistently. Such hunts know no hurry. The struggle stretched, moment by moment, each second etched with tension that would have been unbearable for any human observer. He dragged her away from the water, away from hope, toward dry land. The stones scratched her skin. The dust choked her breath. Ellie struggled, but her strength was fading too quickly. Her small body shivered with fear and exhaustion, her legs trembling under the weight of her own panic. The lion stopped in the shade of an acacia tree. He was breathing heavily. His body was trembling. Even in his predatory triumph, there was the raw imprint of survival's cruelty, a stark testament to the constant fight for existence. The baby elephant lay nearby, still alive. And the world around them froze. It seemed as if the savannah itself was hesitant to take its next breath. At the same time, far ahead, Grace, Ellie's mother, stopped. She had already gone too far, but the feeling wouldn't let go. It wasn't a memory or a smell, it was knowledge. Something primal, embedded deep in her being, tugged at her, a connection beyond sight or sound. She turned around. An elephant mother does not hesitate. She does not seek confirmation. She simply runs. The earth shook beneath her feet, dust swirled upward, and from deep within her chest came a sound, low, powerful, primal, a cry that could not be mistaken for anything else. It rolled across the plains, echoing off distant hills, and sound older than memory itself. The lion heard it. When Grace emerged from the cloud of dust, there was no choice left. She didn't slow down. She didn't stop. The two creatures froze, facing each other, predator and mother, hunger and fury. The tension was almost tactile, hanging in the air like a storm ready to break. The lion backed away. Not immediately, not humbly, but he understood. This prey was not his. He disappeared into the grass. Grace immediately covered Ellie with her body. She created a shadow. She touched her with her trunk, checking every wound. Ellie was alive, but her breathing was barely audible. The trembling of her tiny frame subsided slowly under the heat and reassurance of her mother's presence. And then, Grace did something that is rarely expected of a wild animal. She called out, not in anger, not in threat, in a plea. People heard that call. Rangers Daniel and Lucas saw a scene they would never forget, a huge elephant in a defensive stance and a small body at her feet. They didn't run, they didn't scream. Daniel dropped to his knee, a gesture that means everything in the wild. Grace watched and allowed it. Water, shade, cautious touches. And then, incredibly, Grace touched the man's shoulder with her trunk. It wasn't submission, it was trust. When Ellie was taken away, Grace followed the car, step by step, as the sun slowly sank below the horizon. She didn't leave the rescue center. She waited, all night, without moving, guarding every breath, and Ellie survived. She got up, first for seconds, then for minutes, and on the fourth day, the gates opened. Grace and Ellie returned to the savannah, and there, the herd was waiting for them. The elephants gathered around them in a silent, ancient circle of acceptance. Sometimes, when a lion drags away a baby elephant, it seems as if the world is falling apart. But sometimes, precisely then, it begins anew. And it begins with silence.